'Tis the season for those irresistible ginger thins, cozy blankets for cuddling by the fire, and making home warm and welcoming. For one-stop holiday shopping, visit your local IKEA or ikea-usa.com/holiday.
Write Night is a talk show with published authors, writers, and content creators discussing both the creative and technical sides of writing, as well as the industry surrounding it, from novels to screenplays to comics and more. And now, here's your host, author Travis I. Sivart.
Welcome to Write Night. We'll get to the topic and discussion in just a moment. For those listening to the podcast, we record the podcast on our live stream at twitch.tv/Travis Tavern Talk, and we have a live interactive chat audience. You might hear the sound of the bell ding, and that means I want to interrupt somebody to read a comment or question. For those on the live stream, we won't read off everything you put in chat, but we'll try to get to the most relevant, the most amusing, or some combination of the both. Now, while we introduce ourselves, go and let us know what you're reading, writing, or creating tonight. And while you guys are putting that in chat, I will let you know our topic this evening is going to be writing with family. And speaking of that, let's talk about the books that I wrote with family popping in while I'm writing it. Oh, goodness, which ones would those be? Probably my steampunk cycle books, Croker Norge and Triddington Birthright, and Trio of Travelers, which are interconnected short stories that create a larger story arc. It's almost episodic, and that might be something else we talk about on another episode. So, let's have everybody introduce themselves. I'm here with two of my most recently favorite authors, and let's have Crystal go first.
My name is Crystal Wood. I am a blogger, a YouTuber, and a ghostwriter. And if you want to check out my stuff, I have a website, ravensmusepublishing.com. It's where I'm advertising my not yet published book. And if you want to join my newsletter, I've got giveaways going on every month. And my other deal is my writing channel. I do a writing happy hour on YouTube where I search for my favorite authors, track them down, get them drunk, and ask them questions. So check out my show. It's pretty cool.
I'm Laura Parkinson. I have a debut novel coming out either the end of this year or next year. We haven't decided. I write rom-coms. I have a few in the back. Well, writing a few of them. I'm very new to it. Yeah.
But she's clever and fun and has a real deep human streak going through her characters from everything that I've seen so far. So, writing with family. We've all been there. We've all been at our computer, tapping away. We're in a flow. Suddenly somebody under 4 feet tall runs into the room needing attention. And sometimes it's your kid. Sometimes it's your other half on their knees for some reason. And, yeah, we've had to deal with these challenges where maybe, on one hand, as a writer, you don't feel they understand this is a job. You are at work right now, and you're working. And, yeah, they're only in there 20 seconds, but it's enough to break the flow of what you're in. Or maybe there's other things, and you love them coming in until you start talking about what you're writing, and suddenly they're like, I need to go do something else. So, Laura, I see you grinning and nodding.
Well, for me, it's the fact that while editing, I have to read out loud a lot, just so I can get dialogue, sounding right. And that's very difficult when I have a 6-year-old running around and I get to the naughty bits. And I have to, or there might be some language that isn't appropriate for a 6-year-old.
You mean like French?
No, because he's learning that. So he would have known that now. But, you have to kind of just, can you it does break the flow, which is a bit annoying, but I definitely can relate to this topic.
Crystal?
Oh my gosh, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Go. No, I was passing it to you.
Okay, so the majority, about half of my ghostwriting contracts have been contemporary romance with high steam, and probably the other half pretty much are paranormal romance with high steam. So yes, it inevitably happens every time you're trying to write a steamy scene or something, and my daughter will pop her head inside. My daughter's 14 though, and so she does understand things and she can read, and so I'm petrified she's gonna come in, crawl into my lap or something, because my 14-year-old still does this.
Nice.
And see what it is that I'm doing, and I just tell her, dude, there is stuff that you don't want to know about your mom. Like, for real, you're getting old enough. I know you know what's going on. Just, trust me that you don't want to see some of this stuff. And she's just like, is it more like wolf shifters making babies? I'm like, yeah, something like that. Just go, do kid things. Good grief. But yeah, and it definitely kills your, you're trying to get in the mood and get in the energy that you. Yes, the headspace for these really dirty things, and nothing kills your libido like your child.
It's really the best contraceptive there is, having a kid run in the room.
Yes.
So what are you going to do when she's 16 and you look over and she's reading one of the books that you ghost wrote?
Well, my daughter is asexual, or so she says. She's asexual, lesbian, romantic. So she wants a girlfriend, but she never ever, wants to kiss said girlfriend. She's just hand-holding somebody I can watch movies with and go on dates. I'm like, okay, I can handle that. But she has no interest in sexy talk, and I log into all her, her Discord and her Amino accounts. So I know for a fact that she is 100% telling me the truth when she talks about how non-sexual she is, because all of her friends make fun of her for it, and I'm all about it. I'm just like,
by the way,
I lucked out.
I grew up with that because I was that person that went, yeah, and so yeah, I get it.
She's just not interested, and I'm like, and that's okay. And if you are, that's okay too. Just don't let it blindside me, please.
The 50 Shades were getting big. Author, was it E.L. James? He went on a talk show in America, and they were always asking, have your sons read the books? So awkward, she's like, well, they're old enough they can, but it's a bit weird, thinking that this came out of their mother's head,
I'm thinking they probably would choose not to, because you don't want to think about your mom in that context, and you don't want your children to think about you in that context, and there's a million other books out there that you could be reading, so,
Same reason why I don't want my little boy to read mine when he gets older.
Not to mention, my kid is completely disinterested in anything I have anything to do with, so.
The reason why I don't want my mum to read it either, I just don't want her thinking, that's come out of me. I'm like, no.
It is amazing that everybody you're saying that you don't want them to know this came out of you, either came out of you or you came out of them. So yes. They're all a part of you in one way or the other, or you're a part of them. But so we've got the sex thing in books and how awkward that is. But even when you're writing a good non-sexual emotional scene, a dark scene, a fight scene, and somebody walks in, it's how do we handle these challenges? How do we deal with, do we just let them walk in and have to reset ourselves, or do you eventually talk to your other half or your kids and go, look, I'm going to put a on-air sign on the door, or a do not disturb, or I'm going to steal that thing from the hotel, or I'm going to go live in a hotel till I'm done? What do we do? Laura, how do you handle it?
Well, luckily, I haven't had any very dark scenes. Like I said, I write rom-coms, so everything does have a veil of humour with it.
Right.
But there are times where characters can get frustrated, and I get frustrated with them. And if my little boy comes in asking for chocolate or something, and I'm in the middle of something, I feel myself ready to snap, but I know, and then I kind of take a break, pull myself out of it, and then I can deal.
So you don't lock your door, bar your door, or say you need to be left alone at all?
No. He would come in anyway. A door would, yeah. He'd come in, he'd wander in, he does all the time, but he'll bang on the door. I think if I keep the door open pretty much all the time, because if not, it'll be just, what's happening? Can I come in?
Yeah, I have cats, I get it.
Yeah.
What about you, Crystal? How do you separate family from writing?
I don't lock my door either. My roommate has a toddler that I used to watch at the same time when I was writing, and so I would have a gate across the bottom of my door, and so the baby would come waddle up in front of the gate and wave and say hi, and like need a diaper change or a new bottle or who knows what. And so that was, that was disruptive, but at the time, it was just really necessary, and
right.
We were all helping each other out with different things. So that was a little rough. My teenager is pretty much self-sufficient. She can feed herself. She can take herself to the bathroom.
I hope so.
Mostly she just, she gets depressed. She gets lonely, and we've always been really close. So she needs to be able to come in and put her arms around me and be next to me, or just hang out in the same room while she's got her stuff going on her iPad, which I'm fine with as long as she has headphones on. I don't mind having someone in the same room as me as long as they're not continuously trying to engage me in conversation. With some of the darker scenes, there are times where I just kind of get into a meditative state when I'm writing, and I don't even really feel like I'm working. I'm just like seeing the scene in my head, and it's just kind of happening on its own.
Right.
That's great. And if somebody stops and is like, "Oh, Mom, this YouTube video, you just have to see this. This guy is so funny," and then I have to start completely over. And you can't write 7,000 words a day if you don't have the ability to fall into that meditative state. So setting those boundaries and being able to say, "I need you to just not talk to me for the next several hours," is really, it's hard, but it's necessary. But there are times where I'm typing and I have like tears running down my face because someone's just died, and I'm, going through the emotional loss of my best friend or whoever it is that died in the book. And they try to comfort you, or they're trying to ask you, "Oh my God, is something wrong?" And I'm like, "I'm writing, I'm just working. It's not real." And, that's a whole other set of challenges when you're trying to separate yourself from people while you're working.
So with me, and now my kid is 18, so he's not here to do this anymore, but he has over the past, 7-8 years that I've been writing and publishing. Or if Andrea, now, if either of them would walk in and hug me or tap me or pet my hair or whatever, that never bothers me. Same for my cats. If they get up and get on me, I can keep working, stay in the zone. Yeah, it's when they get to talking, and especially when they walk in like I'm doing nothing. And sometimes I'm on a web page, I'm doing the research, but I'm processing that research into the book as I'm researching. I'm placing the puzzle pieces. It's falling into place. And to break that train, it's kind of like being interrupted when you're on a roll with a concept that you're trying to work through. And yeah, but I still don't shut my door. There have been times I've turned around and went, "You need to leave me alone for a bit. I'm working." And it's getting and it's never the first time. It's always like the 5th time where I'm like, "Just leave me alone. Stop." And hold on, I want to read one of Goblin's questions up here. Do you worry that you may reach superstar level of success as a writer and your kids being resentful, almost as they are being defined by your writing and cultural impact? Who wants to start with this one?
I super worry about this because my child is resentful of my writing now, and I haven't reached any kind of level of success except for the fact that I'm doing what I love for a living. And that is hard because she wants me to spend a significantly more amount of time with her, and she wants to be the center of my attention and the center of my day, and I can't have a work day where everything revolves around us spending time together. And so what she remembers, at the end of the day, isn't that I woke her up with breakfast in bed or we had a tea party. It's, all the hours and all the days that I was at the computer for 16 hours because I had a deadline coming up, or the 3 days that I didn't even speak to her because I was trying to make that deadline. She remembers the sad stuff, but that is how teenagers are. They, focus on... Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. They focus on the sad things. I feel like teenagers are super stuck in the tragedy of existence because they're suddenly self-aware and they realize that they're not the center of the universe, and that is a really sad, scary thing to discover.
See, and that's a theme for a book right there.
And so I know that she's going to grow up and look back and be like, God, I wish my mom had spent more time with me, but she was just always writing. But at the same time, I hope that she'll reach a stage where she's like appreciative of the fact that I was following my dreams and I was putting in the time and the legwork and making sacrifices to make something happen. And hopefully something comes of it more than just being able to tread water and scrape by. Hopefully it'll be worth it.
I'd like to reassure you that if she's a smart and creative person, that there's a good chance right now, of course, oh, woe is me, how come you're not giving me all your attention? But down the road, whether it's 5 years or 50 years, she'll look back and cherish those moments of the tea party and the breakfast in bed and realize you were working hard, dreams or not, and more likely take the example that you gave her of working towards your dreams. Because we always make it about us, don't we? It's what we do as human beings. So what about you, Laura? Are you worried about the kids being resentful, almost as if they're being defined by your writing and cultural impact?
Well, I've definitely noticed a difference as soon as I started editing. Writing the book, I did it in big chunks, and I had big moments, sometimes months between a couple of chapters that I did it. So when I got into the editing stage, I was very fixated on getting it done, spending a lot of time, and then I'd catch myself thinking, being at the computer for too long, and I do take the time to spend an hour or two with them. I'll say, okay, this afternoon is for us. We're going to sit down, we're going to watch a film together, we're going to watch something together. For the future, I don't know, because little boy is autistic. He does see the world a bit different, but I really don't know how it would impact him if I did get successful. It's just a wait and see. Ask me that again in 5 years' time, we'll see. Really don't know.
Now, my thoughts on it are, I would love my kid to be resentful because I'm successful. Because that means I'm successful, and then I can easily pay for his college. Or not.
His therapy.
Or his therapy. Well, you know what? He's 18 at this point in time. He can just go get social services. Because they have better therapy than picking random people out of the book, right? I don't know. But no, I've never been worried about anybody looking at my kid, especially now that he's an adult, but even in school, the messages that I have in my writing, I feel are positive enough that at worst they're going to make fun for him. Your father writes about blah, whatever, because kids will make fun of whatever they can. But yeah, it's never bothered me. So let's look at ways to handle family, and something I've often talked about as a writer is...
At Capella University, education is as smart as the world around us. With the FlexPath format, you can take classes at your own pace, set your own deadlines, and even leverage your previous experience to move faster. Now that's smart. Learn more at capella.edu.
Structure. What is it when you organize your time the right way, like you do money? What's that
Time
called?
management.
Time management. See, apparently it's late for all of us. But yeah, time management is very important. And if, no matter who you're dealing with in your life, it's important to spend time with them. Whether it's a spouse, a roommate, your dog, your kid, whatever. And building your time where, hey, I get this 2 hours or 4 hours or whatever, and then you get this amount of time. So maybe, and now if you have a kid that goes to school, then of course school time is great if you're working from home to use it for that, and then your kid never has to know. If you're not dealing with that, then and it's never as easy as I'm about to make it sound. You sit down and you have the discussion between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock. From the time you get in the evening till dinner, I'm allowed to be in here by myself. And of course, younger kids, it's harder to deal with this. And cats, they just don't listen. I've tried. So what about you guys? Have you built a structure where you can go, this is our time, this is when I'm at work and I'm in the other room? And how's it worked out for you if you have?
Yeah, I work from home. I work for myself at home. My husband has a job that he goes at. So I take care of the house up until a certain time. And then we kind of do places. He looks after, does the rest. He might cook dinner. He might look after the little boy. I think my husband, I'm very lucky at my husband's kind of said, well, this is what you want to do. Take whatever time you need. I'll take the reins if you can't do certain things. But he never says to me, needs us time. He's never said that to us, to me. We need some time together. He's never said that. It's me that's going, right, I'm coming down. I was in shop. I'm coming down. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to have some... We did it this morning, and then I had to come and do some work this afternoon. So at least I got something in, and it's for my benefit that I've... Oh, this is our time as well as theirs,
Makes sense.
That's awesome.
What about you, Crystal?
I do have a couple different structures, and it kind of varies depending on how things are going with us, depending on what we're falling behind on. I'm really lucky too, in the sense that my roommate takes care of the majority of the house. Like, I'm just gonna throw that out there, and it makes me sound like a terrible person, but honestly, she is amazing. She cooks, she cleans, and I very rarely make dinner. She is freaking superwoman, and I love her so much. And my daughter, with her, if she's got a lot of homework and she's falling behind, I will have her sit in the room with me while I'm working. And I will say, it's almost like how when we do writing sprints or writing bursts, we'll check in with each other about every 15 minutes, because that is about how long her attention span is. And we'll see where she's at. And it's not that she gets punished for not getting stuff done, but we're at least engaging every 15 minutes and trying to get some headway on her homework, and I'm trying to get headway on whatever project I'm working on. In the beginning, when I very first left my job, which was terrifying, by the way, quitting my job and going ghostwriting full time. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing.
When I very first started ghostwriting full time, I would just say, you know what, I can't look up from this computer screen until I get the 7,000 words done. And regardless of whether it takes me until 7 p.m. or 4 a.m. or, you know, if I have to pull an all-nighter, I'm not getting up until this is done. And after a couple years of doing that, I got so burnt out that I realized it is not worth it to sit there for 17 straight hours and not get your word count done anyway because you're so tired and frustrated and angry, and you're feeling guilty because you're ignoring your family. And on those days, chuck it up to a wash, because you'll probably get double the word count in half the time when you're refreshed and you're feeling good and you're giving your family the attention that they need.
You know, that's the other side of the structure. It's not just giving your family time, but giving you time away from the work. This is another reason, that structure, and that here's a chunk of time where I work. And also, you know, that's work time. You're more likely to work. Whereas if you're like, I just work anytime I can, you're less productive in that smaller chunks. So,
Definitely.
And by the way, Green Goblin asked a great question. Has COVID lockdown changed your dynamic working from home with family? Because now
not for me, because I've been working from home long before COVID. So,
but was
pretty much the same for me.
But was your family home as much?
my husband works with the public, and my daughter's been homeschooled since before COVID too.
Okay.
My husband and my little boy were home a lot more, but because they were both home, could entertain themselves, and my husband could do a lot of the homeschooling while I somewhere. In fact, I think I got the most writing done or editing during lockdown than I've ever been able to do, because he's been at home and I haven't had to do the school runs and everything ready. You know, it's just...
So it's changed it in a good way for you.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'd say the only time I really suffered as far as like getting my work trampled on was when we actually got COVID. We got it. We all got it. Not at the same time, thank God. But when we were all sick and trying to take care of each other, I had no focus. I was miserable for like a month or more, trying to not only recover, but trying to take care of them, and us all trying to take care of each other.
Nice, that makes sense. Okay, we've got more time in here, so let's see what else we can whip together about writing with family. Here's something I have found. My family are some of the people that are the least interested in anything I'm writing. What about you guys? Any interest there? I mean, they're supportive. Don't get me wrong. They're like, yay, you. I don't care. Become rich and famous. Go write. Have a good time. But I don't actually care what you're writing about. What about you two? Laura?
That's how it is for me too. I can't get my husband to read anything I've written because he's read so much before I did it for work, and obviously 26 books would be a lot of crap to read, and he has different things that he likes reading. And my daughter is completely disinterested in my YouTube videos or anything creative. It's just I'm super lame because I'm mom. So
what about you, Laura?
Well, me and my husband, we have very, very similar tastes, except for books. He goes the sci-fi route. He likes his graphic novels. They're okay, but I love reading romance. I write romance. And he also wants to write his own sci-fi novel one day. He's started it numerous times. And he's been my critique partner. But he does support me writing, but he doesn't necessarily enjoy the book as somebody who would like a romance.
Gotcha.
The rest of my family, they're always saying, put me in the book, name a character after me, you know, I want to read some, let me read some before, you know, it goes out and like that. So yeah, everybody's positive about it.
Wait to the 3rd book or the 8th book, and they're just like, yeah, I'll get to the 2nd one eventually. It's jerks. My cats won't read anything I wrote.
At that point, I won't care.
That's true.
If I've got 2 books out already, I'll be like, I don't care if you don't like it. It's people out there that do.
There's Crystal. Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate it. I said there's Crystal. Thank you. I appreciate it. Who likes the book? There you go. See, welcome back, Kitty. And John says, my family would disown me if I added them. It's, well, don't eliminate them. That's worse than adding them, I would think. Okay, so what about you two? With this topic, what stuff have we missed? What are you guys thinking about that hasn't been touched on? We'll have an awkward pause here for a moment while we all think
I don't
about
know.
I think we've... No.
So if some new writer came to...
Is like the biggest thing.
Which one?
And prioritizing your family and knowing how to expend your energy.
There you go. So let's talk about that. Because I was just about to say, if a new writer came up who has kids or a young kid or a spouse that acts like a kid, whatever, and said, how do you do it? What advice would you give me? Crystal, what advice would you give?
I would say have a plan and be willing and flexible enough to deviate from that plan. Just like when you're writing a book, me, myself, I have an outline, but if something comes up and I need to completely veer off in a different direction, you have to be willing to go where it takes you, because the story of your life is no different, and all your best adventures will go missed and unadventured if you're not ready to go with the flow.
What about you, Laura?
Yeah, I agree. You've got to be flexible with when you can write, but you've also got to make the time. The book's not just got to make the time to write. It's not going to write itself. So if you have to get up an hour early, right, you're going to have to do it.
That's true. It is a matter of prioritizing, and if the family's going to be wanting to interact with you when you're writing, when else can you write that they wouldn't want to interact with you while they're unconscious?
Alright, you don't have to just lock yourself in a room. Get yourself a pair of noise-cancelling headphones and sit in the middle of a room full of kids, screaming kids, and start writing on a laptop on the floor. If that's how you have to do it,
yeah,
do it that way.
Heck yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I have known writers who, Brandon Sanderson, for example, who would write on a bus or a train. Like he would write in the commute to and from his daily job. So, yeah, somebody could do it
or
there.
Or when everybody else is asleep. Like you said, get up an hour early, stay up an hour late, whenever you're feeling the most productive.
Have you seen, I know it's a book, but have you seen the film Misery, Stephen King's Misery?
Yes.
Right, well, he rents a cabin in the middle of nowhere, and I'm thinking, who could do that? One person in the world would probably be able to do that. It's just not practical, it's not realistic.
Oh, I've had clients that did that. Absolutely, they do that.
Could not do that. I'd go stir crazy. I need to have them breaks, have people, and if you need to do that.
Oh, one of my favorite writers. He actually I think he sold his house and went out in his RV. And he was just I was messaging him back and forth as he was going around the country in his RV writing his next book. And I was like, that sounds amazing. I don't know.
See,
but, he didn't have kids and family, he was just on the open road, camping. And
Laura, when you asked that, who could do that, I thought you meant financially. As for personality-wise, I could do that, absolutely. It's, that's how
what I'm saying is there's such a big difference. If you don't have kids, if you don't have a spouse or something, you can do that. But, a lot of people can.
I can now. But that's what I'm building. That's what my home is becoming. It's becoming my cabin, not so much in the woods. And there's been a few people who shouted out in chat here that they could do it. And
if you don't need fancy stuff like electricity, there's cabins you can get for like $50 a night. It's not.
But it's really hard to plug in my laptop when there's no electricity.
True. You got to bring your batteries. What do they call those?
Oh,
those external
I was thinking
power
like
sources?
a mile of extension cord and run it from the ranger cabin.
No, you just plug it into the cigarette lighter in your car.
It's I'm sure you could just get a gas-powered generator too.
Figure something out. That'd be loud while you're writing, though.
I was curious about that. How loud are these things? Because if you're in the middle of the woods, wouldn't like a generator just like make people go, "Hey, there's something over there"?
You immediately made it creepy.
Yeah.
No, when I was 13, we moved to a place in the woods that was a trailer, and we did not have running water or electricity for 2 years. And we had a generator, gas-powered generator, that we would fire up once a week for like entertainment time so that we could make our record player go. And we were fancy and got a CD player for a while. That was great. I had one Britney Spears CD that my poor parents had to endure repeatedly. But it's noisy, but when you're used to having no electricity, you appreciate it anyway, even if it's noisy.
That's funny. I would have never suspected you living in West Virginia. You've got great teeth.
Nope, Northern California, just
Okay.
a really remote part of Northern California.
Raised on a commune, huh? That explains why you drink so much.
No commune, just my parents.
Okay. And a few comments here. Goblin says get a typewriter. John says cabins are fun. I think that's the Mike Myers tune. Typed out in
You can
DOS.
write pen and paper, too.
Kitty says the driving and camping thing I don't get. I've worked in several fields where I drove for a living. You can't write while driving.
In the UK, you can't.
No,
Talk to text.
And John has explained that I get my creepiness from my neighbors because, yeah, he's seen where I live. Oh, there we go. John mentions Pollock Pines. I grew up in Northern California, he says. So are you familiar with that there?
I was in Shasta Lake City, but before it was developed.
There we go.
Shasta Lake City 20 years ago.
Okay, so closing thoughts on this topic, everybody. Writing with family. Laura, what do you got?
It's doable. Just manage your time is definitely a thing, but you need to make the time right.
There you go. Crystal?
And for me, I have to balance the opposite direction and make sure I make time for my family, make sure they know that they're still my priority and I love them more than I love my job, which is hard to believe for them sometimes because I am a workaholic, so.
And Laura, did we cut you off? Did you have more to say?
No.
Okay. Well, there we go. So, yeah, writing with family is a challenge. It's a give and take of life. So, let's wrap this up and say goodbye to everybody. There you go. And I'm going to take us out of here. Before we go, I want to remind everyone that you can email us at rightnightshow@gmail.com. That's right with the W, night with an N, show@gmail.com. To let us know your thoughts on the show's topic, suggest other topics you'd like to hear us discuss, or just have a message read out on air to someone in your life. Thanks to everyone for supporting the show by downloading the podcast, sharing it on social media, grabbing some shirt stickers and mugs from bit.ly/tavern merch, or barware patches and hats from bit.ly/tavern merch too. It's bit.ly/tavern merch or tavern merch followed by the number 2. Thanks to everyone who joined us live at twitch.tv/Travis Tavern Talk, and everyone who supports the tavern by subscribing, hosting, throwing bits, raids, and most of all, commenting.
Thank you for joining author Travis I. Sivart and the other writers, content creators, and all-around amazing people for our discussion here on Right Night. Join us again soon, and until you do, make sure you create with passion, enjoy the journey, and remember, every night can be right night.
At Capella University, you're in control of your education. With the game-changing FlexPath format, you can set your own deadlines and move at your own pace. The faster you move, the more you save. Visit capella.edu to learn more.